Welcome to my channel where I share my AI knowledge, mainly about AI video generation using ComfyUI and on different models. Today I'll talk about the new updated director skill, where we have a simplified yet faster Wan video control model. You can see here from the VACE addition there and the FusionX addition also toward the model, which we're going to be exploring today there with the new workflow that I'm going to be sharing. So how is it done? In this case, for the vase, you have more control basically. This is an add-on to the Wan model to be able to have more control. A bit like the Wan Fun, but this allows it to give it a reference image, and also it's able to give it a control through the depth, pose, line art, or even segmentation there. I think in general, it's giving a much better control and better consistency than the One Fun LoRa that we used to use before. There's also the FusionX, which gives us speed and quality. FusionX is a mix of multiple elements together. You have CausVID, which is for speed, including the low step count. Act Video, which is basically also for speed with the low step count. You have the Movie Gen, which is mainly for the quality aspect of it. And then you have the Reward LoRa, which is also for quality. All of these combined together gives it a faster and higher quality video generation. So let's look at a workflow. This is the new workflow that I have. It's a much more simplified workflow than before, where on the top left you have the models, then you have the different elements here in the workflow, but the focus is really simplification, because it used to have a way bigger model and a way bigger workflow where we used to combine everything together. These days I focus on just giving a straightforward workflow for one specific goal there, while I'll keep maintaining the main workflow. At some point where there's enough update, I'll update also the one workflow that has everything together. I still use it. So here you can see the different section of this workflow, and you have all the way from the input all the way to the output. So let's look into this a bit closer. So for VACE, we have a web page here that basically shows what it's doing, but really, it's giving you more power onto what you can do regarding the controls there. So there's a lot of things that can be done here. I think if we go down a bit here on more to the details, we can see there's really three core capabilities: the image reference capability, the video redrawing capability, and the local editing capability. So really, image reference is where you give it an image and it's going to try to make sure that it meets all those elements in that reference image there. So think about giving it a character, and it's going to make sure that it continue to follow that character style and look and feel. Same thing for the background. For the video redrawing, that's a very critical one, especially when we think about the director skill, where we have different pose, where we transfer those pose to make sure that the motion, the movement of those character that we're going to give as the image reference are reproduced. So this is key here. And then the third one is the local editing. So you can mask element out and you can change the background, change element there. We're going to be spending less time in this and more on the two first one here. So I think this is the vase, a very important element that we want to use here regarding the director skill. So that being said, going back to our workflow here, that's the vase element of our model. Now let's look into the FusionX. So FusionX enables us to have different things there, but mainly it's really to make things goes faster, to generate the video faster and to give it higher quality. So think about all the different LoRa that exist to make it higher quality, to make it generate faster, and it was all combined together into one called FusionX. So if we go have a look a bit there, we go to the FusionX web page there where it shows what was developed there. And we can see the FusionX here. There's an overview, motion quality, scene consistency, visual details, and here's the magic of the FusionX there, right? So it combines all these different elements into one single model, right? So CausVID, acceleration video, movie gen, MPS reward LoRa, and even custom LoRa. So these are the elements that combines together makes the FusionX. And if we look at each one of them, let's start looking at the CausVID there. I mean, when you look at CausVID, it's just showing how it's able to do the generation, but with a much faster step, basically, right? So without having that many steps, which is usually 25 step or even 50 step to make something look nice, it can achieve it maybe within 8 steps or even 10 steps there. So with lesser step, that's definitely a way to generate your video much faster. Now, if we look into the acceleration video, I mean, in this one, again, is different ways to make the video generate much faster than before. So I think here it's combining two different things that allows it to make the video go faster. I think that's super interesting there. And finally, with the movie gen, this is really about improving the quality of the video, right? So different element put together to make sure that the quality of the video is the best as possible. Another one called the Fun Reward LoRa. Again, yet another one that allows the video generation to be as enhanced as possible. All that combined together give us the FusionX that we see there. So if look at our workflow, I mean, really, this model that we see here, which was a GGUF model there, to have control over the level of quality versus memory that a person has. You have the VACE, which is basically control, and you have FusionX, which is speed and quality. And that's all combined together to give us the new workflow that we have here with the new model that we have. So let's have a little look at this. Now, keep in mind, this workflow is the part where we do the control net, open pose, and depth. If we look at the original one workflow there that I've been developing since the very beginning, I mean, the part that this is being covered, it's right here on top right there, right? So if I zoom in, this is the open pose and depth group there where I was doing the control. This has been replaced with this new one that I'm sharing today, but I'm separating it from it just so that we can have this running as autonomous workflow without depending on all the rest. Now I will still, moving forward, update the one workflow, but I'll share it later when I have multiple updates on the one workflow there. So just looking at this workflow, let's go through it together to see what is it in there, and then let's do the execution to see how it works. So first things off, I mean, remember for the color coding, I mean, green means some input needs to be changed there. Input needs to be added or edited so that you can generate your video. Gray usually means don't touch it or leave it as is. There's nothing to be changed. Brown means you need to potentially play with it for it to give you what you want there. So usually some ratio, some factor, depending on your need. And then you have the output at the end there. The only thing left is the black one. In my workflow, usually when there's multiple selection of input or selection of workflow path, I would make something like this where it allows it to shift between different input there, depending on the need or on the use case, like that. Okay, so let's have a look at our or workflow, right? So from the top left here, we have the different model that I load, right? The VAE model, the GGUF model, this is our main one model, and the clip loader model that I have here. Right next to it, I have the LoRa's, right? Different LoRa that I have for the one model. Right now, I have different LoRa loaded here. I can turn it on and off with the power LoRa loader. If I go down a bit here, I have the different input of video or image. So there's different cases here. For example, this is the main image that I use for the reference image. Remember, there's the control and there's a reference image. So the reference where we want it to be look-alike, very similar. Think of it almost like a starting image, like an image to video sequence there. Well, this is it, right? This is the input image there. I have two selection of input there simply because it could be from an image that I select here, a single image, or it could be a frame from a video, right? So I can load a video here and then I just select a specific frame here that I want to choose as an input, which is then an image, right? So then I can switch between it depending on what I want to use. If I go down a bit, I can see there's a load video. The load video here, it's meant for the control here. It's gonna go all the way up to the control. So if we follow the path here, we have load video. It does some resize. It brings the image here to the aux preprocessor. And this is where the video that we take here, and this video is a reference video, it's gonna transform it into a open pose, a skeleton version of what we want to achieve, right? If you look at the right here, you can see the same pose is being reflected here because it's gonna take this video, convert it, transform it, and then use that as a control for our video generation. Okay, for the bottom part, I'm gonna just bypass it for now because it's not critical, but I'll come to it. This is more like an advanced control there. So for now, I mean, just consider the basic load video, resize, and then it goes here, it controls, and then it goes to this blend and goes to the final control here. And if I go back on top just to finalize this, I mean, we have the prom positive, prom negative that goes here. We have the VA that goes in, the control. This is all where the magic happens, where you have the Wan VACE to video, right? So this is where the reference and the control is very important here. So you bring it here, and then from here it goes directly to the sampler. The sampler, I added the trim video. This is important to add because without it, it will sometimes give it like a bright flash or a blink from the beginning of the video before it starts. So that's why a low trim is important there. And once all this is went through, it goes to the final video combine here, which gives the result. Tech note here, the steps is very low here. It's 8 steps. You can even go down to 6 or 4, but the quality will be slightly impacted. And if you go higher, it will give you high quality. But in my experience here, within 8 steps, it's give very good quality video while having the speed element that we want to balance there. So for me, I keep 8, but you can play with it there. But keep in mind why the step is very low. It's because we're using the FusionX here. Without a FusionX, the 8 step would not be enough to give it a good enough video output. So that being said, let's look at the bottom part, more advanced part of the segment depth line controller. So if I go down to look at it more deeper into the segment depth line control, I mean, in this case, if you want to have the control beyond just the open pose, the WE pose processor here, you might want to add this, right? So if I put this to enable, you'll see I have a SAM loader here with also a load video here. The point here is, what if I want something to go through also beyond just the the pose, right? In this case, in my experimentation, I was doing a video where a girl was playing one of the Chinese harp here. So the Chinese instrument, I wanted to make sure that it goes through, while the rest it will be using the open pose here. So what I did was I used a SAM loader, so a segment anything model here with the ground dyno, where I can give it a prompt, right? So I can give in here wood. It was basically segmenting out the wood element here with a certain threshold, and this is a tricky one where sometimes you have to increase it, sometimes you have to decrease it to detect, right, how easy it is for it to detect that is wood. In this case, it's not too hard, so a 30% threshold is reasonable there, but you can play with it there. And then from here, with some grow mass to make sure that it captures the whole and not just too tight cut there. And then I add the whole thing through. I will give it to the final element here, where it shows that the element I chose goes through. And just to give you an example here, let's change a few element here. Let's put a frame cap to 1, so just we can run it with like a 1 frame. And I won't the core processing, I'll just bypass this for now. In the video combine 2, it's just a quick test to see what comes out of it, right? So if I bring it here, give it a preview. So what we'll be previewing is what it's able to find as the segmenting model here. So we'll see it, and then at the end here, we'll see it combine that element that was found here with the open pose here, right? So you can see here it combines, right? So let's run this rapidly so that we can see the output, and we'll see how it segmented out. And again, I put it wood, right? I mean, I could segment out anything. There we go. So if we zoom this up a bit there, we can see that the wood element, which is the instrument here, was segmented out and was added to our final image there. And also the open pose is there, right? The pose element of the character is brought here, and then both of these are blended together. You have the pose that comes here, and you have the output of the segment model that comes here, and it gets blended together, and that becomes our new control video. Now obviously, I mean, I don't want the character to be dancing over the instrument there. Initially in my test, it was a completely different video that I was using, but I think you can see my point here, where you can segment something out in the main video that you want to keep and bring it forward, right? And same thing for other type of control there, right? Depth or line control. Instead of the, let's say, SAM model, if you bring in the, let's say, aux video preprocessor, and then you use depth anything, or you use line art, right? That will bring those elements that you want to see from a depth perspective or a line art perspective, and it will bring it and combine it to the final video. So really it depends on what you want to do, but again, I wanted to keep this simple, so most cases you can just put it as a bypass and ignore this bottom part there. If you want to go a bit more advanced, play around with it there and you'll see what it does. The final element that I want to explain is the empty image here. Now there are cases where I don't have a open pose, a pose to follow through. I just wanted to do whatever the prompt is saying. So basically a very close to image image to video where there's no control, right? So I can give it a empty image here, and in this case I would bring it like this, so that it just follows no control basically, right? So that's another way to make sure there's no control. I use this also to give it some more details regarding the size there, but that's for another reason. So long story short, in more cases, just using like this should be good enough there, and you can ignore most or other special cases, let's say. So let's put this to always, and let's run this so we can see it, right? So Again, you can see the LoRa here. I have the Freerun LoRa. I have the dancing LoRa also, so that it enables a more smoother dance while it has that character in mind, right? So here, just for the sake of testing here, I'm just gonna put 26, let's say, and I'm gonna choose a part where there's a lot of action. Here you go. So that's some activity there, and with the small, and it goes here, and it goes here. Okay, so let's run this. Oh, image blend. Oh, it doesn't like the fact that it's blending, but there's no image, right? So we can just disable the blender. There is no blending happening. It's just directly the image that goes through from the DW pose there. So we should see this, but with this character, right? This character doing this animation, this activity. So it's going through it. It's now loading the clip. Loading the prompt, going through the Wan VACE to video. So it's using the reference and the control. And now it's going to the case sampler, which is the key element of the generation here. This is going to take a bit of time, so I'm going to pause this and reload it later, or rather fast forward. And there you go. We can see the result from the animation that we're expecting to the result from the motion of the character there. And you can see here, this is a full generated one. You can see the shadow be generated alongside with the character. So this is not a cutout of the video there. So this is a pretty cool example of how to use this, and it's a very simple workflow. On this, have a nice day, and we'll see you again on the next generation video update. Thank you.